Hi, I'm Dr. Caroline Leaf, and welcome to my podcast, Cleaning Up the Mental Mess, a podcast dedicated to helping you clean out the toxic thinking with simple and scientific strategies. In today's podcast, I'm really excited because I'm actually going to walk through a neurocycle with you, a neurocycle to help you deal with stress and burnout. What is a neurocycle? Well, a neurocycle is what I talk about in my newest book, which I'm really excited about as well, which is on pre-order, called Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess, like this podcast. Okay, and this book, I walk you through 5 simple, scientifically proven steps to reduce anxiety, stress, and toxic thinking. It's available for pre-order at the moment, and you can go to cleaningupyourmentalmess.com to pre-order, or anywhere where books are sold, and there's a whole bunch of bonus chapters when you reorder. There's a book club, there's a chapter for your kids, wonderful content to help you, and I'll tell you more about that as we're going along. But these 5 steps are steps that I have developed over 38 years, literally, in private practice and doing research. And I just recently updated all this research into clinical trials. And I even put some of the results of my clinical trials in this book to help you to understand how you are brilliant, how you can manage your mind. And when you manage your mind, you change your brain and you change your physical health. I mean, you can literally, as you use these 5 steps, which are the neurocycle, you can literally change your cortisol levels, your DNA, your cellular health, your brain waves, your brain health, your mind health. You can improve how you function, but up to 81%, which is amazing. Okay, so together today, we're going to do a neurocycle we're going to start learning about these 5 steps on how to apply the neurocycle for dealing with feelings of burnout and feeling overwhelmed and always on. I thought this was really appropriate because I know at this time of the year, we really feel that we are just burnt out and there's just so much going on. But before we begin, I'll be taking a 2-week break from podcasting over these Christmas holidays to enjoy some time with my family so that I don't burn out and rest my brain, and so I can be back in action and ready for an amazing 2021. I think we're all super excited about 2021. So if you need your weekly fix of my podcast, be sure to check out older episodes or past episodes. There are over 230. So wherever you listen to podcasts, you'll pick up Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. And please consider subscribing to my podcast and leaving a 5-star review. I hope you all have an amazing Christmas and wonderful New Year. We're super excited, all of us, about the new year. I also want to thank you all for your support over this last year. It's been a journey this year that we've taken together, and just the interaction with all of you on social media and through this podcast and through everything that I've done virtually has been just wonderful to see your response. And I hope I've been able to help you. And I know certainly your feedback has helped me. So thank you so much. I really mean that from the bottom of my heart. So now let's get on to today's episode. We are going to learn about the 5 steps to dealing with burnout and feelings of being overwhelmed and always on. Okay, so very quickly, the 5 steps. This is the technique that I have developed over these last 38 years and used clinically. And so the 5 steps are called a neurocycle. So when you do a neurocycle, you're doing these 5 steps. So neurocycling is when you are using these 5 steps to control your mind. So the neurocycle is how you learn to manage your mind. Now, you heard me say this before probably, and I'm going to say it again. Okay, we need to learn to become responders and not reactors. We need to recognize that our mind is always working 24/7. During the day, your mind, your thinking, feeling, and choosing is building thoughts in response to your experiences. And at nighttime, those thoughts, you are sorting out the thoughts that you built during the day. So you don't even go 3 seconds without thinking. You're always thinking. So therefore, you should control the way that you're thinking. So mind management, which is what I teach and what I really explain in incredible depth and simplicity in this book, is helping you to manage your mind. Mind management is helping you use your mind to manage your mind and direct the neuroplasticity in your brain. And so the 5 steps are how you do this. And in this book, I teach you how to apply the neurocycle for dealing with breaking toxic habits and building good habits and dealing with all the different types of trauma that we can experience and building your brain to build mental toughness into your brain and so much more. I even give you neurocycle life hacks. And today you're going to experience and start learning about this neurocycle through the life hack of helping you to kind of switch off. I know that when we've been through so much that we have been through this year with COVID and all the implications that it has had in our life, and that politics and just living those things on top of everything else that you normally experience in your day-to-day life, it can feel like you're overwhelmed and always switched on. And if we don't become responders, we'll be reactors. And when we're reactors, we're going to run out of energy. And like our cell phones run out of energy, we really do have limited energy. So if you're using your energy incorrectly, you're going to run out of it. So this is a neurocycle life hack to help you to deal with burnout and feelings of being overwhelmed and always switched on. So if you consistently experience high levels of stress without taking steps to manage or reduce it, exhaustion will eventually take over, leaving you emotionally and physically burned out. I mean, you know that. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, literally your chemicals drain out of you, or they drain, or you have too much of the wrong thing and they drain your batteries. And you'll have sudden bursts of, for example, homocysteine, which will increase inflammation in your brain and your body. It even affects things like prolactin, which is a hormone that males and females have. We often associate prolactin only with females, but it's a hormone that males also have. And we're finding from research that it's an incredible indicator of how we're managing our mental stress, how physically burnt out we are. And if you're very burnt out, your prolactin levels will rise. But by managing your mind, you can drop your prolactin levels. You've all heard of cortisol and the HPA axis. You can also, that goes crazy when we are burnt out, you can actually control your cortisol levels through a neurocycle. This neurocycle I've shown with my research will help you control cortisol and DHEA and prolactin and ACTH and homocysteine, all these things that actually affect how you function. When those are all going crazy, you can actually begin to feel less motivated, since it seems like just nothing you do matters, and the smallest tasks make you feel overwhelmed. And the reason that you feel that is like the straw that broke the camel's back. That's how we feel when we're overwhelmed. But you can be proactive. You can change that. Taking action to address burnout is absolutely essential, since it only gets worse if we just leave it be. So, in this short neurocycle, I'm going to help you learn to recognize the early signs of burnout and how to manage it before it really does some damage. So you can go into this Christmas season and into the new year feeling like you're not burnt out, that you can actually enjoy Christmas and start the year fresh. So listen to this lots and make sure you get the book so you really can learn how to do this really well. Okay, let's begin. Okay, we're going to do this together. The neurocycle has 5 steps. The first step is where you gather. Gather means to embrace. Embrace means like an embrace. You're bringing it into your fold. So I want you to gather awareness of how you are feeling mentally in your mind with the emotions and so on, and physically. So it's a self-regulated, very deliberate and intentional gathering awareness to actually look inside and see, how am I feeling? Is there tension in my body? Scan your body. Where's the tension in your body? Scan your mind. What are the emotions that are just like swirling around? What are the dominant emotions? Are they toxic, like this toxic tree that you see me hold up so many times? So gather awareness of how you are feeling mentally and physically. These are warning signals. And a warning signal is like your alarm that wakes you up. It's an alarm telling you, hey, you are feeling like this in your body and you're feeling like this mentally for a reason. You're doing this neurocycle because maybe you've been feeling overwhelmed. Okay, so maybe you're losing motivation and feeling exhausted. These are warning signals, as I've just said. Your body is trying to tell you something important. There's a message in the warning signal. So take some time now just to listen. Okay, I'm going to ask you a few questions. How do you feel mentally and physically right now? Just gather awareness. Just embrace it. Don't be scared of it. Just embrace it. Scan your body. Where's the stress in your body? On a scale of 1 to 5, what's the level of that stress in your body? Maybe you've got tremendous tension in your shoulders. Is it at a 1 or a 5? Maybe your tongue is stuck to the roof of your mouth. Maybe you've tensed up your legs so much your foot's in a cramp. Mentally, where are you? What are the emotional warning signals? Are you feeling a hovering sense of anxiety? Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling on edge? What words would you use to describe how you're feeling now? And rank those on a scale of 1 to 5. Is it on the 5 being the worst, 1 being okay? Are you struggling to concentrate? Is this a general pattern? Just embrace this. Just gather awareness of this. Do you find you're getting more frustrated and irritable with people? Do you have more fatigue? Are you struggling with sleeping issues? Just gather awareness of this now for a few more moments. Bring it into your fold. Just become aware. As you're doing this and becoming aware, you're pulling up this burnout toxic thought. And we're now looking at the signals, and then you can start looking at the behaviors and the perspective, which is a tree trunk, and eventually find the roots and start changing that. Now we're going to move to step 2, which is called reflect. So now you've gathered awareness. Now you're going to reflect. Deliberate, intentional, self-regulatory reflection, which means I just want you to be curious and question your emotions and your feelings and the physical feelings in your body, these warning signals you gathered awareness of. It's tough to make changes when you don't know exactly what needs to change. But exploring contributing factors or sources of stress in your life can really help. So here are some questions to reflect on what you gathered and embraced in step 1. Why do you feel exhausted and spent? Just ask and answer and discuss this with yourself for a few seconds. Why do you feel that you've been on too long, like in a perpetual summer? Why do you feel overwhelmed? Ask, answer, and discuss that with yourself for a few seconds. What could you do differently right now to feel better? What if you took a break or slowed down? What would happen? What are you fearing will happen if you take a few steps back or slow down? Are you tying your productivity to your self-worth? Why? What unrealistic expectations can you let go of? Are you taking on more commitments as a way of trying to fit in or people please? Why? How can you make your mental health a priority? Just reflect on these questions now for a few more moments. Now we're going to step number 3. Write. Now, write down the answers to your reflections from step 2. What you can do is go back and re-listen to those questions and then just write down what you reflected on. So you gathered awareness in the first step. In the second step, you started asking, answering, and discussing a deep, self-regulated, intentional, deep thinking. Now you're going even deeper and you're going to write down, which will take your diving into the depths of why you're doing what you're doing even deeper. Each of these steps is taking you deeper and deeper into your non-conscious mind to find out why you're doing what you're doing or how you got to this point of being burnt out. Then we're going to go, when you've done this writing, then you go to step 4, which is called the recheck. In the recheck step, I want you to go back over what you just reflected on and wrote down and explore and look for patterns and triggers that have set you into this literal pattern of overwhelm and burnout. Here are the questions. What can you change in your life? What advice would you give to someone else if they came to you with this issue? What toxic patterns or habits are you noticing? What assumptions are you making in your thinking? Just re-listen to these questions, look back at what you've written, and just see what else you can add to what you've written. Answer these questions by writing more to what you wrote in the right step. This is like a mental autopsy. When you've done that, you go to step number 5, which is an active reach. An active reach takes you to that mental space. So it helps kind of wrap up these 4 steps and get you into a positive action that will help you practice and get you into this new way of thinking to help you stop being in the cycle of being burnt out. So an active reach is kind of like a practice step that anchors you back in mental peace. So for this step, I just want you to do any or all of the following. Commit to doing a full 63-day neurocycle to see what toxic habits or traumas may be causing burnout in your life. You see, if you are burnt out, there's always a reason. So we're doing this quickly together over a few minutes, but if this is a pattern in your life, it takes 63 days to break down a toxic pattern and rebuild a new pattern, which is basically a neural network in your brain and in your mind. And exactly how to do that, I teach you in this book. Okay? So how to do the 63-day application where you can find out the root of why. Another thing you can do today is create a to-don't list rather than a to-do list. So what shouldn't you do? Instead of giving yourself a million things to do, create a to-don't list. Another active reach, really assess your current commitments. What can you give up? What can you delegate to someone else? Another thing you can do is try to incorporate more thinker moments in your day where you switch off to the external and switch onto the internal and daydream, nap, or just stare out the window for a few seconds. Just let your mind wander, which helps to reboot your brain. Very powerful. Another active reach you can do is leave work at work. A large part of burnout recovery is learning how to prioritize your work-life balance. After leaving work, focus on relaxing and recharging for the next day, otherwise quality stuffers. Another active reach, build more fun into your routine. Go for more walks, exercise, take time to read some fiction and don't feel guilty. Paint, do more of what brings you joy. This whole exercise is teaching you how to recognize your signals. And when those signals start popping up of overwhelm and burnout, go through this neurocycle and do these active reaches. Set and enforce boundaries. Before committing to help someone, accepting an invitation or taking on a new task, do the following. Pause. Take a moment to go through what would be required of you if you agree. Ask yourself if you truly have the energy and time. Consider whether doing it will offer any kind of value to your life or goals. Question if you want to do this or if you're just people-pleasing, which is a guaranteed burnout contributor. Okay, people-pleasing will burn you out and overwhelm you. Remember, you're not lazy, selfish, or mean for declining a request for your precious time. It's the only commodity you cannot get back. Being selective about accepting commitments is key to taking care of your mental health. Honor the truly important commitments and proactively prevent burnout. You can be proactive in preventing burnout, but it starts with you embracing, processing, and reconceptualizing, which is what the 5 steps of the neurocycle do. This can become a lifestyle, which is what I teach you in all my work, and so simplistically with so many examples in this new book that you really need to pre-order. You see, you can be proactive about how you want your brain to look, your brain health, and your life. You really do have the power in your mind. Mind really does control matter. You don't even go for 3 seconds without thinking. 24/7 you are thinking. As I said in the beginning, during the day you think, feel, and build thoughts. And at nighttime, you sort out the thoughts that you have built. You don't even go 3 seconds without doing that. And as you are thinking, feeling, and choosing, which is using your mind, you are changing your brain. So you can learn to proactively manage your mind and direct your neuroplasticity through neurocycling. So here's an example of it. I know this works. I've shown it scientifically. I've shown that when you make neurocycling your mind management technique, and you do it all the time, even in 5 seconds, and then if you pick up a pattern, you do it daily over 63 days to change patterns. If you make neurocycling a lifestyle, you will improve things like burnout by up to 81%. You will drop the cortisol. You will reduce inflammation. You will improve your DNA. You can do that. You direct the neuroplasticity of your brain. You're always thinking, so you may as well take charge of your thinking and take charge of directing your neuroplasticity and shift that power balance. I hope this has helped you. Thank you for listening. And for more information on the book and how to pre-order, you'll find it in the show notes. I hope you're having a wonderful rest of the year, and I look forward to seeing you next year.